Republican frontrunners this week taking turns hammering President Obama on the economy. Has been another brutal week with talk of a double-dip recession, huge losses on Wall Street, and more bad news on jobless claims. On Monday, the president announced he'll present a new economic plan next month. Right now, he's on a 10-day vacation at Martha's Vineyard. Joining us from Michigan is his top campaign advisor, David Axelrod. David, welcome back to This Week.
Thanks, Jake. Good to be here.
So what can you tell us about this economic speech that President Obama is going to give after Labor Day, in which he's going to outline jobs programs and a way to reduce the deficit? And why is he waiting until after Labor Day?
Well, first of all, Jake, and as he said, we thought it was actually healthy for members of Congress to go home and speak to their constituents, hear from their constituents, hear how outraged people are at some of what they've witnessed, and understand how desperate people are for action. They want Congress to act, not to act out. And hopefully they'll come back with that message resonating, and we can get to work on the task at hand. There are specific things that we can do right now that will accelerate our economy, some of which the president has already talked about, some of which will be new in his speech, all of which have in the past gotten broad support from Republicans and Democrats. If they don't move forward, the only reason will be politics, and we can't afford that right now. So the president's going to outline a short-term plan to accelerate the economy in the face of the hits we've taken because of the Arab Spring and oil prices, because of the Japanese earthquake, because of Europe that have slowed down economic growth. And he's going to talk about the long-term debt picture, because that's another piece of the puzzle that we have to solve. But we have to solve it in the right way, in a balanced way, in a way that's fair, in a way that protects the investments we have to make in education, research and development, and the things we need to build good middle-class jobs in the future.
The president, in the last week and a half, has updated his speech with new language in which he suggests that one of the reasons that we're not making economic progress is because some of his plans have been blocked by those, he's obviously alluding to Republicans, by those who put party before country, who would rather see America fail than their opponents win. Isn't there a suggestion being made here by the president that those who don't support his plans are something less than patriotic?
Well, Jake, when people don't support plans that have in the past garnered bipartisan support, when people are willing to walk the country to the brink of default, when people, instead of saying where there's a will, there's a way, it's my way or the highway, you have to assume that politics is at play. Last week, I saw the spokesman for the Speaker of the House say that they would not call any of the president's job-creating proposals other than his proposals for 3 new trade treaties, which we need to open up markets, and for patent reform so that entrepreneurs can bring their products to market more easily. Those are good things, but we need to do more. For example, we need to extend the payroll tax cut that's in place right now. It is unthinkable to me that the Republican Party would say we can't touch tax cuts for the wealthy. We can't touch special interest corporate tax loopholes because that will hinder the economy. But we'll allow a $1,000 tax increase on the average American come January. How could that be? The only explanation for it is politics.
David, my understanding about those 3 trade deals is that members of Congress are waiting for the president to send them up to Capitol Hill. So why does the president keep talking about the need to do this without having sent them to the House and Senate to act upon?
Well, as you know, Jake, we've actually made progress on this in the Senate, but there's a dispute because the president wants to pass the treaties in tandem with trade adjustment assistance for any workers who might be American workers who might be disadvantaged by the treaties. On the whole, there'll be a big plus for American workers, but in some sectors there could be impact. We want to make sure that we're being fair to American workers. We feel like we reached an agreement or made progress in the Senate. We need to get this through Congress come the fall. So I'm encouraged that the Speaker wants to do that, but there are a whole range of other things we should be doing. And as I said, it's bewildering as to how they would take the position that we're not going to move anything the President says before he even speaks. It just doesn't make sense.
David, in the last month, there's been a lot of criticism of President Obama by some prominent members of the African-American community. In fact, this week, the Congressional Black Caucus launched a For the People jobs tour. And here's what Democratic Congresswoman Maxine Waters had to say.
We're supportive of the president, but we're getting tired, y'all. We're getting tired. Our people are hurting. The unemployment is unconscionable. We don't know what the strategy is. We don't know why on this trip that he's in the United States now, he's not in any black communities. We don't know that.
Now, David, she was referring, of course, to the rural tour that President Obama took, but regardless of whether or not it was okay to go on a rural tour, what do you say when a member of the Congressional Black Caucus says that she doesn't know what the strategy is for unemployment? This is a big ally of the president's.
Well, obviously the things that the president is proposing, things like moving forward on the road transportation surface program, the roads and repairing roads and bridges and so on, which has always been, by the way, done on a bipartisan basis, but is now stuck in the House. Those are going to have big impacts up and down the economic scale. There are other things that he's proposing that would have big impact up and down the economic scale. He fought hard in the debt ceiling negotiations to make sure that those safety nets, Medicaid and Pell Grants for poor students of all backgrounds were protected from those cuts because they're important. And his program for the future has in it education and opportunities for people to advance their skills so they're not locked in a cycle of poverty. So there's lots that is there with an eye toward those who need the help the most. But we've got to move the entire country forward, Jake, not just one community, and he is focused on doing that. And we can do that if we get some cooperation instead of a very kind of political position that we're not going to cooperate on anything while the country's waiting for action.
Lastly, David, I know that you're well aware that you have a big task ahead of you when it comes to motivating Obama supporters from 2008 and potentially future Obama supporters and rallying the base. Progressive filmmaker Michael Moore had this question that he wanted me to ask you. Quote, "Are you aware of how profoundly disappointed so many of the president's supporters are? Do you realize that each time the president moves to the right, he picks up no votes and loses many? Or do you cynically believe that because these people have nowhere else to go, they'll end up voting for Obama?" How do you respond to liberals like Michael Moore who want to vote for the president but are just profoundly disappointed? How do you convince them to turn out in November 2012?
Well, first of all, no one is cynically moving one way or the other. The president's not interested in moving left or right. He's interested in moving the country forward. And we've got a very, very sharp debate here. And the question is, are we going to take steps in the short run to help stimulate this economy, to help create jobs, to help create growth? And are we going to take the steps in the long run that will protect the investments that can grow our economy and most importantly, Jake, then can create good middle-class jobs in the future on which people can raise their families. That's what education is about. That's what research and development to create new technologies and advanced manufacturing is about. That's what the infrastructure, that's what roads and bridges and repairs that put people to work now, but also create the opportunity to move our goods across this country. All of these things are part and parcel of a strategy that is completely opposed by the other side, who want to go back to the same trickle-down deregulation, the same mantra we heard in the last decade that led up to this problem. We're hearing again. I think that this is such a profound choice that the president's supporters and independent voters and people across this country will rally, because the future will be determined by this debate and the path we take.